Welcome to Global Insiders Podcast. I am Ryan, the peripatetic one, bringing you information about opportunities relating to jobs, traveling, and any information that can elevate you to your rightful place in this thing called life. You can find more information and how-to methods on globalinsidersgroup.com. That is insiders with an S. And here is today's show. Hello insiders. Today I'm happy to be joined by a lady who describes herself as a foodie, yogi, and an attorney. And that is her order, not mine. Personally, I think she has one of the coolest Instagram pages going. In fact, I recommend that you follow her page to get some good laughs. But as noted, she is an attorney, so she's a very serious woman, especially when she's doing her lotus scroll. Hello, Samara.
Hi, Ryan. How are you?
I'm doing well. Welcome to the show. Could you please introduce yourself to the insiders?
Sure. My name is Samara Thomas. As you said, I'm a foodie, yogi, and attorney, and that's right. That's the order I put it in. I'm a Trini Jamaican. I grew up in Jamaica, and I now live in New York, where I practice mergers and acquisitions law.
Okay. Well, I mean, we'll get back to some of those things that you just said, but let's dive in. So practicing law is a dream for many persons, but practicing law in New York City is the stuff that even movie stars dream about. Did you do this by design, or did you just roll with the punches that life threw at you? How did this happen?
Well, it's a little bit of both. I would say I always knew that I wanted to be a lawyer, or for a very long time I wanted to be a lawyer. And I lived in Jamaica up through high school.
Okay.
I just didn't know that I would be doing corporate law, I would be doing mergers and acquisitions, or that I'd be in New York. So that kind of happened. I think initially I thought I would do law that focused on helping people with, kind of more mundane problems like refugee stuff, immigration stuff, with using my languages. And it just ended up the way that life, how life kind of, you roll with the punches or you just go with the flow. And I ended up, getting into a lot of corporate stuff and moving to New York.
Okay, good. So, corporate mergers, that sounds exciting. As I said before, I mean, it sounds the things you see on television all the time. So, how exactly did you get into corporate law?
Well, I think the first thing, that kind of started my trajectory to corporate law in New York is that for undergraduate studies, I came to the U.S. I wanted to do law, but I also wanted to, explore other things. I wanted to explore languages and, psychology and just things that I thought I couldn't necessarily do going straight into a law faculty in Jamaica or the Caribbean.
Nice. So let's stick up in the languages. Which
Sure.
languages are we talking about?
So the languages that I focused on were two of the Romance languages. So I focused on French and Spanish. I did both of those for my undergraduate degree, and actually also got a master's in French and lived for a while in both Belgium and France.
Wow.
So I really focused on that for a long time. And I'm a Francophile, so I do love most things French.
Okay, I like that. I like that so much. I mean, French is a language that gives me a lot of trouble. So in fact, I'm thinking I may need to do some lessons just to get that accent going when I call names and so forth. So yes.
Oh, well, I can recommend some podcasts to you, and
sure.
I think
would
super
love
helpful. We can do that offline.
Yes. Okay. So you're a language lady. Awesome. Did you do any dancing or anything like that?
I didn't do dancing, but when I was much younger, I did do gymnastics.
Okay. So becoming a lawyer, I mean, I know you have to do several things, like maybe you have to do the bar exams and you have to do like your LSATs and so forth. Could you walk us through that stage? I mean, it might have been a while now since you did that, but do you mind?
Sure. No, I'll walk you through it, of course. So I always knew that this was what I wanted to do. So in undergrad, the program here is typically 4 years. I did some pre-law programming, so I knew that I had to prepare for the LSATs. So I prepared for the LSATs, and while I was doing that French master's, I also paralegaled for one of my professors, an adjunct professor at my undergrad. I did, he has a criminal appellate defense boutique near Philadelphia, and I went to school. I did all of my degrees post, high school, either in Philadelphia or outside of Philadelphia. And so I paralegaled for him. I studied for the LSAT, and I think I did Kaplan, so I used a prep company, which I think is, pretty key, because I don't know that the LSAT as much tests intelligence as a certain way of test taking. So I think it's really good once you can go through a program, if you have the funds to do that, because they teach you how to take the test itself. So I did that, and then I applied to law schools, mostly in the Northeast, which is the area that I was familiar with. And then I decided to stay in the Philly area, and then, started law school. That's typically a 3-year program. And in your summer after you graduate, you study for the bar. That, again, I would recommend taking a test prep course. That is a very, very trying summer. I mean, your whole summer is kind of, you're consumed with the studying like all day. I think that was probably the most regulated 2 to 3 month period I've had. I would, get up in the morning, like eat, exercise, and just kind of like, nose to the grind, just nose to the books for the entire day. So again, it's really helpful to have a structure, and these test prep courses give you a structure that you can really work with. And they've had people look over past exams, and they know what the structure is, so they're best able to guide you through it. And then, the way that the system works here, as I said, law school is typically 3 years. And at the end of your first year, you'll apply for internships for your second summer. And if you're going to one of the larger firms, we call them big law, so the big law firms, or just even, it doesn't have to be necessarily big law, but just a structured kind of firm. Usually you apply at the end of your first year, and then that's for your summer of your second year. And then usually you get an offer to work full time after that summer, once you don't do, anything crazy like, jump into a river when they have the summer sailing experience, something like that. So that's the way that I did it. Very kind of very standard, just par for the course.
It sounds pretty good to me. The thing that stood out to me is the fact that you're saying that person should try to do the pre-programs first, and this will help you to get an understanding of what you need to get done, just to understand what the tests are about. Am I correct in saying that?
I would say that's right. I'd say to do the prep courses. I would say also, apart from just taking, the LSATs or, preparing your application, which, they're essays and you need recommendations. And, people should check out the LSAC, the law school application council, I believe it is. They should check out the website for that. It's been about 10 years, since I did this process, so I'm a little rusty. But, I think preparation is the name of the game in every respect. I think one of the things to think about as well is that practicing law in the U.S. is really different from practicing it in Jamaica, and practicing in New York is really different from, say, practicing in Florida. So I think it's really important to kind of seek out people who maybe have the jobs that you think you'd like. Maybe they went to your school, or, they're friends of friends, and just talk to them and see what, their day-to-day experience is and what tips they might have for you. And, it might not be something that you want to do. So, for example, during my first year of law school, I went to Kenya for that summer, and I worked on I worked with refugees on trying to get them resettled in the U.S., Canada, and Australia. And that's kind of when I discovered that wasn't necessarily the area of law that I wanted to go into. But if I hadn't done that during my summer, I would have never known, right? And it's at that point when I came back, to law school after that, I started to think about, what about, corporate stuff? What about securities? What about M&A? And that took me, towards going to New York and being an M&A lawyer.
Okay. Do you mind touching on why you changed from wanting to do like the immigration things to go into the mergers? Like, you don't have to go too deep, but like, what about it? Yes, what about it did not excite you, or did not really capture your imagination as something else?
Well, I should say that I do a lot of pro bono work. So I do a lot of work that's not necessarily billable, and now, we're not being paid for it, but I kind of do it on the side with the firm. And, I even did it in law school. So all my pro bono work has been immigration related. So, I help people seeking refugee status in the U.S. to kind of, or refugee or asylee status rather, in the U.S. So I continue to do that, but I will say there are two big reasons that that are behind the change. One, it was extremely emotionally draining for me. I have the personality type. I think that I can get other people's emotions affect me a lot to a certain degree. And it was just emotionally draining. So that was one. And number two, I found it was just substantively, it wasn't as stimulating as I thought it would be. A lot of it was very repetitive.
Yeah.
And so those are two things that I thought maybe something else would suit me better. And I just, as I was exploring courses that my school was offering, I just kind of fell into a lot of M&A courses.
Okay, thank you for that answer. It was in depth. So, Philly. Why Philly? I mean, I know that you're a New Yorker because when I look at your Instagram, I see New York and the beauty of New York. So I know that there's a lot of love for New York there. But I'm also getting a feeling that Philadelphia has a part of your heart. So why Philly?
I love Philly.
Yes.
I ended up outside of Philly for undergrad at a really small liberal arts school.
Yeah.
And, it was very student run. We had an honor code.
Really?
Things like that really appealed to me.
Okay.
Yeah, very save the world, granola, like, that was kind
cool.
of, that was
A cool institution.
Yeah, really cool. And, Philly, I actually prefer Philly to New York. I know people often tell me that's crazy,
Yes.
but it's a medium-paced city. You've got, like, a great food scene, great cultural scene. Like, they've got a few universities, so you have, like, it's pretty cosmopolitan. It's close to New York. It's close to the D.C. So, I was there for 10 years, and so that course plays into it. But just from a, just from a, like, very organic kind of connection that you tend to have with, whether it's like cities or countries or whatever. I love Philly. If I honestly, I know New York is like the financial capital and it's like this, it's a big apple. It never sleeps. Like culturally, it's just amazing. But I actually prefer Philly.
I have no qualms with that, so no problem there. All right. So thank you for explaining all those things. And now let's get into some more fun stuff. Let's play a word association game. So I'm going to call the words and you're going to blow. Okay. So Indonesia.
Bestie and Bali.
Oh, really? Bestie. Wow.
Yeah. One of my best friends from undergrad actually is from Indonesia, and she moved back there. So every time I've gone, it's been really to hang with her.
Okay. Great. Montego Bay, Jamaica.
That's home.
Oh, is it? That's where you're from?
Yeah, I grew up in Mobay.
Okay. All right. Kingston, Jamaica.
That's also kind of home. I did high school and stuff there as well for a large part. So, yeah, they're both home for me.
Okay, great. New York.
I'm going to say this again. That's home right now. That's like the seat of my professional life. This is, I've been here for the past 6 years. Oh no, I'm getting really boring now with this word association.
No, you're good. St. Lucia.
Oh, paradise. I love St. Lucia. It's actually, I think, probably my second favorite Caribbean island.
Very good. I mean, I can't wait to go to St. Lucia. I want to see the mountains. I'm not remembering the name right now, but yes, I really want to go to St. Lucia.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah. You've got to let me know when you go.
Okay, I will. Punta Cana.
I actually think of senior year when I think of Punta Cana because that's where I did my senior trip in undergrad, even though I've been back since, but that's what I think of.
Okay, great. Trinidad and Tobago.
Home. I mean, I'm...
You're a true cosmopolitan. Yes, you're a cosmopolitan. That is what I'm thinking.
Although I feel like this is how many places did I say were home?
Maybe four.
I don't know.
Four.
Yeah. Yeah. But Trinity's home. And I think of also double. I mean, there's a lot. Half, like my mom's from Trinidad. I was born there. I used to go back during summers as a kid. So that also has a really special place in my heart.
Okay, good. And yoga.
Zen.
Okay. And I have one here. Instagram.
Life. I love Instagram.
Yes.
Maybe that was a bit much, but I just really like them. You can just, I find pictures, they give you little snippets into people's lives, and it's not all real. People curate and they show you what they want you to see. But I just think it really can have a really positive impact on people. You can see, for instance, I was looking for tips the other day and I put them in my Insta stories. Who's been to this island? And I got all this feedback. And people will see my yoga poses or where I've been and they'll ask questions and I can give them information. Or people will just scroll through and see pretty things. And, I think you need that in life.
Yes, Instagram is awesome. I mean, I remember how the internet was in say early 2000s, especially say the 2000 at the turn of the millennium. And I mean, it was a helpful tool, really. And that is how I find Instagram now. I find Instagram to be very, very helpful. And you can actually get real connections from Instagram, even though you say,
we should tell the listeners that that's how we met, right?
Yeah, that's how we correspond mostly. This is that, yes. So definitely. So Instagram, it's a great tool, and I guess maybe not like all tools, but the thing with social media is that it can use you if you're not using it.
Great.
So you just have to be proactive, and you just have to stand your ground and decide what you want from it, and you can get it. I mean, but yes, Instagram is an awesome tool. So yeah, I'm with you with that.
That's right.
All right. So
no, I think you've got to be careful too, right? I think there's also
definitely
where people can be sad. They can look and see, oh, this person's life is so great. Why can't I look like that person? And we've got to remember, it's very curated. People don't put when they're
sad,
crying because they had a breakup or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
And it can be a time suck as well, right? You can be scrolling and then all of a sudden half an hour or an hour has passed. So it's really just like money and all these other tools, you have to make sure that you're in control.
Definitely. I agree with that. But yoga, we cannot do this interview without talking about yoga. First of all, let me compliment you on just being able to do all those moves. And the thing about your pictures too, you always seem to get symmetry. So your photographer is on point with you all the time, which is great. So do you have a professional with you all the time?
If only. My friends would probably like that because whoever I'm with, I'm just be like, hey, can you take this pic? So people probably wish that I had a professional following me around.
Well, I'll tell you this: your friends are good. They're really good in terms of capturing the symmetry in your photographs. So kudos to you and your friends with that. And of course, as I said, being able to do all the moves. I mean, kudos to you again.
Thanks. My friends are great in more ways than one. So I'm lucky to have.
Yes, good. All right. So, what tips do you have for persons who want to start doing yoga but are intimidated by the standing flying crow, or they are just clueless about how to start?
Funny you ask, because I actually have a post. I have a website that kind of corresponds to my Instagram.
You can talk.
And I actually have a post up on how to start or to restart a yoga practice and, kind of the few important things to consider if you're thinking about taking a class or going onto YouTube or buying a book, that kind of thing. So maybe just because it can be a little involved, I can direct people to my website. And the website is www.samararenee.com, and I can spell that. So it's S-A-M as in Mary, A-R-A-R-E-N as in Nancy, E-E. So it's www.samararenee.com.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you for that. And I think that will be very helpful also. So basically, your website is helping beginners to get going. You're pointing them to the resources and and the direction they should head in
Right.
if they're serious and they want to start out.
Yeah, the website is a little bit more holistic, so it doesn't just focus on yoga. It focuses on food, yoga, travel, a little bit, inspiration a little bit. But right now, there are about 3 or so posts up, and one of them deals with how to kind of like find your yoga groove. Because again, through Instagram, a lot of people would message me and be like, "Oh, I've always wanted to do yoga," or I haven't done it in so long," or I'm kind of scared of trying it. And so that post actually came about because I was like, you know what? Instead of typing the same thing to people on Instagram, let me just put it all in one place so that I can just tell people, just go and check this post out.
I think that is a great idea, and I'm sure it will do well, because many persons are looking for answers. But the thing is, as you know, in this age we have so much information. So what you find is that persons go around in circles because this new thing comes out, and then they follow that, and then like 2 months later they see something else, and they go back to the beginner stage. So they don't have any pointers or where to show them, oh, this is what you have been doing, and this is where you are heading, and you're doing well. So basically, it's good to have something showing them how to go about doing it. So that's
I think
nice.
that's great.
All right. So how many countries have you been to?
I only know this answer because I recently counted for that same website. I have a few fun facts on it, and it turns out I've been to 34 countries so far.
Wow, that is awesome. That is awesome. So what? So maybe I should do a word association one more time. Traveling.
Oh, that's also life, just like Instagram. That gives me so much energy. And it's not just being in a new place; it's interacting with different cultures and different people that really that fuels me and motivates me.
Okay, good. I like that. So what is it? 34 countries, right?
Yeah, 34.
Okay, so which is your favorite and why?
Okay, so I know I'm a little biased, but honestly, Jamaica is amazing. It's home. It has a special place, so I love Jamaica. Second to that, and because it largely reminds me of Jamaica, I am madly in love with Kenya.
Okay.
So in terms of a country that I've been to that didn't grow up in, Kenya is my number one favorite.
Oh,
But I will
awesome.
say, I mean, it's hard to. Kenya is like a cut above the rest, but there's so many other places. I mean, I loved being in Turkey and Istanbul. Like, I just it's hard to kind of narrow it down. Belgium has a special place in my heart. Maybe not as picturesque, but I spent a year there and made some really good connections and have like a host family that I'm close to. I mean, it's most countries that I've been to, I have a really special connection with or very fond memories of. But Kenya, and that's where I spent the summer in law school. By far, everything I love about Jamaica and maybe don't love so much, Kenya has that like times 10. And so it fills my heart in a way that, no other country does. Even though Jamaica kind of fills my heart more because it's home, but
Yes.
Kenya really ignites something inside of me that it's nearly indescribable.
Okay, I've heard wonderful things about Kenya, but I must say that I've never really heard anyone say anything about the food. So, do you mind just speaking a little bit about the food in Kenya?
I like the food it may not be as varied as some people, they do this samaki, this fish that reminds me a lot of the Jamaican fried fish. They've got ugali, which is like their staple. It's a cornmeal. It's kind of like turned cornmeal, but, maybe just it's more flavorless, so it kind of adapts to whatever you're having with it. They've got nyama choma, which is like this roasted meat. They do a lot of things. They do a lot of wild meat. Chicken like we do. They've got sukuma wiki, like green veggies, kind of like callaloo. It's not as varied as it could be, but I love the food there. It reminded me a lot of home. There are also so many international restaurants in Nairobi, so you can get your sushi, your Italian, your Lebanese, whatever you'd like. So it's not necessarily as varied. I wouldn't say it's necessarily like a foodie heaven
Yes.
in terms of just like the local food, but there's a lot of Indian, there are a lot of East Indians there, so there's a lot of Indian food. They've got cane juice all over the place, just, have cane on the side of the road like home. So I really, really do enjoy it, even though I wouldn't say if I was looking for like a bunch of Michelin star, like the restaurant that I go to Kenya.
Okay, all right. Thank you. I mean, I really asked because you said it's so much like Jamaica. And I know if you ask someone who, a tour had been to Jamaica, what about Jamaica they like, they would usually say the food. So that is the reason why I really asked that question.
I mean, I love just the cane. You have the same cane guys on the side of the road and like, the corn or whatever else, but also to a lot of international options.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. So, if you had $100 million and you could be anywhere in the world doing anything, where would that be and what would you be doing?
I wouldn't want to be tethered to one place. Maybe my base would be Jamaica, I think. And, I love traveling so much and interacting with different cultures so much. It would have to be, it would have to be kind of a nomadic kind of lifestyle, especially if I had the money to afford that. So maybe I'd be on a boat, but maybe it would be I'd be sailing. That's a good idea. I'd be sailing, but with spending a lot of time, I think, at home in Jamaica. And in terms of what I'd be doing I'd be playing tennis, I'd be doing yoga, I'd be lying on the beach, I'd be reading, I'd be writing, I'd be also, I think, just from a more substantive standpoint, that would give me more time to kind of dedicate myself and more money to dedicate myself to causes that I'm very interested in. So, women, reproductive rights, racial parity and other kinds of equality in certain societies. So that's what I do, I think, which is kind of what I do now, except I don't...
It would be magnified. It would be magnified.
Exactly.
Okay. I can see you doing all those things, so thank you for that. And, I can't let you leave without you telling me about your Red Stripe ad. You did the Red Stripe ad. How was that? That happened?
That was such a long time ago. That's really funny. I think maybe I want to say a friend of mine was doing production and needed someone. I can't even remember. It was probably like 20 years ago, dating myself. But it was really funny because I remember I'm 5 feet flat. So the two other people that were in the ad were significantly taller. So I think I had to stand on a crate or something, but it was a lot of fun to do. Yeah.
That's fun.
It was a lot of fun.
Okay. Awesome. I mean, you know what though? Like a lot of persons don't realize it, but when it comes to ads and so forth, many times the persons who are in these things are like friends of the producer or the director. I mean, and it's not even necessarily nepotism or anything like that. It's just that those are the persons who are available right then and there. So
right.
So
right.
That's how it is. Samara, thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show.
Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah. If people would like to continue the conversation with you, how can they reach you?
They can reach me at Instagram. So I'm at Samara_Renee. And they can also just send me an email either via Instagram or via my website. And it's www.samararenee.com.
Okay. Thank you for that. Awesome.
And I'm always happy to help give tips on anything I can. I believe strongly in paying it forward. And I just love talking to people in general.
Okay, good. So thank you, and I hope the insiders take you up on that offer.
All right. Thanks, Ryan. Take care. Bye, everyone.
Thanks for listening today. I hope you are inspired. You can find more helpful and motivational material at globalinsidersgroup.com. That is, insiders with an S. You can also keep in touch at Global Insiders on Instagram. See you next time. But remember, you can be your own superhero. Bye.